The news day continues here on One News Now. I am Diego Castro. The Philippine delegation at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, has secured investment commitments from at least 9 companies. Meanwhile, President Bongbong Marcos revealed his administration's foreign policy in a meeting with the president of the WEF. Gerard de la Peña with the report.
It was quite a hectic third day for the Philippine delegation at the World Economic Forum in Davos. In a dialogue with WEF President Roge Brand, President Bongbong Marcos revealed how his foreign policy would be like for the rest of his term. He earlier mentioned that countries like the Philippines should not be made to take sides, a principle that also applies to the whole of his foreign policy.
So when asked which side are you on, I said, well, I don't work for Beijing, I don't work for Washington, D.C. I work for the Philippines, so I'm on the side of the Philippines. And that really translates into a very simple statement of foreign policy, which is I promote the national interest.
Meanwhile, cabinet members sat down with various business leaders for potential investments. The economic team reported that they were able to get commitments from at least 9 companies. These include U.S. banking giant Morgan Stanley, which plans to set up an office in the Philippines.
Ang purpose talaga nito is to sell the country. Nasaan tayo, ganun. Kasi kaya very timely itong pag-participate natin sa Davos conference nito. We have a very nice story to tell, yung anong sitwasyon natin after the pandemic.
While more engagements are expected, the talks are merely exploratory. Members of the Philippine delegation were able to speak to a lot of government and business leaders at the World Economic Forum here in Davos, Switzerland. But they admit that it would take time before ordinary Filipinos can feel the effects and the benefits of these talks. Cabinet members said potential investors are considering certain factors. These include trainability of workforce and sustainability.
The main important feature of the Philippines that's attracting investment is the fact that we have a young, vibrant, and trainable workforce with median age of 23 plus. I'm happy about that confirmation.
Gusto nilang makita yung sustainability, predictability, transparency, yung long-term natin, long-term game plan. Kasi kapag mag-invest sila ng highway, 50 years yun, they wanted to ensure that our economy can stand a long-term growth for 50 years or more.
On Friday, Marcos Jr. will face the Filipino community in Zurich before flying back to Manila. Reporting from Davos, Switzerland, for News 5, Gerard de la Peña, we are One News.
Besides attending a number of dialogues, President Bongbong Marcos also met with several groups and personalities on day 3 of the World Economic Forum. The president met with the executives of Morgan Stanley in a meet and greet. He also held a meeting with DP World, a Dubai-based logistics company that is now operating in nearly 70 countries across the globe. Over breakfast, the president convened with the private sector partners of the WEF. President Marcos also held a bilateral meeting with Kristalina Georgieva, director of the International Monetary Fund. Still in Davos, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says the world is in a, quote, sorry state because of a myriad of interlinked challenges.
We need cooperation, yet we face fragmentation. And I'm not here to sugarcoat the scale of that challenge or the sorry state of our world. We can't confront problems unless we look them squarely in the eye. And we are looking into the eye of a Category 5 hurricane. Our world is plagued by a perfect storm on a number of fronts. Start with the short term, a global economic crisis. The outlook, as we all know, is bleak. Many parts of the world face recession, and the entire world faces a slowdown. And we see deepening inequalities and the rapidly unfolding cost of living crisis affecting women and girls the most. Greenhouse gas emissions are at record levels and growing. The commitment to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees is nearly going up in smoke. Without further action, we are headed to a 2.8-degree increase, and the consequences, as we all know, would be devastating. All these challenges are interlinked, and they are piling up like cars in a chain reaction crash.
We will be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. It's not just pork, onions, and corn that the country is heavily importing. Senators found out that around 93% of the country's supply of salt is actually sourced from other countries. Concerned agencies pinned the blame on the so-called Asin Law, which slows down local salt production as it requires Filipino farmers to only produce iodized salt. The measure was passed in 1995 during the term of the late former President Fidel V. Ramos to address problems of iodine deficiency. Lawmakers are now questioning this act, noting that it's slowly killing the local salt industry. They note that problems of iodine deficiency should be solved by medicine.
Bakit nyo ni-require na lahat ng salt i-iodize? Sino naglabi sa inyo? The original. Ako, may feeling ako may naglabi sa inyo, yung importer ng iodized salt. Tingin ko. Kasi kung ako yan, hindi ko i-require lahat.
Senators also found out that some imported supply of salt have yet to be iodized and will only undergo the iodization process here in the Philippines. The Senate Committee on Agriculture is now pushing to amend the act.
The local salt be iodized. Tapos ngayon, mag-i-import kayo ng salt na hindi iodized. Ano ba yan? Ano bang malaking kalokohan yan? Di sana pinayagan nyo na lang yung local producer na hindi iodized at ni-require nyo na lang na may manufacturer na mag-iodize. Kung ganun din lang ang gagawin nyo na mag-i-import kayo ng hindi iodized tapos i-require nyo yung iodized. Ano ba yan?
Some companies have implemented price hikes on certain grocery items, even though Trade Department has yet to update suggested retail prices. According to the Philippine Amalgamated Supermarkets Association, some items have price increases of 2 to 4%. That's equivalent to an additional 25 centavos up to 2.5 pesos. The price hike came even as the DTI said that it would continue to implement the last SRP from August last year, pending a new list. Price increases were seen in some brands of coffee, canned meat, and bottled water. The group believes that some companies were able to raise prices as the DTI only monitors certain categories and brands of products. To talk more about this, we have on the show Stephen Kuap, President of the Philippine Amalgamated Supermarkets Association. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Diego. I'm from the city. I'm talking to you from the city of Pines.
Good morning, sir. And of course, I'd like to ask, there have been price hikes even without the new SRP from the DTI. Sir, how did this happen?
Well, SRP is a tool used by DTI to protect consumers, no, from abusive retailers. Okay, But again, they're only monitoring but less than 300 items out of the thousands and thousands of items you find inside a supermarket.
And sir, should we expect more price hikes in the coming days, weeks, and months? Which products do you see that will have a price hike?
You see, pricing is a management decision. It's very difficult to tell which ones now management of the different manufacturing concerns would want to adjust prices, no? Would want to adjust their prices, their products of their prices of their products. It's difficult to foresee that. But as of the moment for January, we have around at least 25 manufacturers who have already given us notice of an increase now in their for the prices of certain products now that they manufacture. So it's not all products and not all brands handled by these manufacturers.
I would like to ask sir about salt. Now, we found out that at least over 90% of salt in the Philippines is imported. Is this affecting how the pricing of salt should be?
Yeah, this happened around 3 months ago, 2 to 3 months ago. No, they were already expecting the price of salt, to skyrocket because of importation. No, and again, supply disruption. No, because of the conflict in between Ukraine and Russia. No, or the other way around. But it's because we did not review our laws. No? As mentioned a while ago, 1995 being Asin law, and they're not aware that some products need salt that's not iodized. No? Because salt by itself is not iodized. No? You gotta add iodine to make it iodized, which served its purpose back in 1995 to avoid a lot of people getting thyroid and other problems. No? But as it seems, they did not review the law, so now, but 93% of our salt is imported. It turns out cheaper, and it has run the small salt farmers aground. No? So they've stopped, doing, and they probably sold their properties to beachfront developers.
And sir, regarding consumers, do we see a change in behavior? I mean, nagtitipid na ba sila because of inflation?
Okay, consumers don't know how to behave at this point. No? Even retailers don't know how to behave. No? In the sense that it's not within our control. No? It's within the control of the manufacturers, which is why DTI wants to talk to these manufacturers, the major ones, which manufacture the most saleable brands and items. No? To ask them if they can hold back or increase in a more to a more minimum level the prices of their goods.
And sir, how about, of course, the very popular issue right now, onions. How are the prices in the supermarkets? Still mataas, or do you see it going down?
Okay, I'm here in Baguio. I went to the market yesterday, and I checked, a place where you're supposed to find a lot of cheaper, fresh produce. No? They were selling shallots, the ones with the
the small ones, sir. Yeah.
Right, mas maliit na smaller onions, no? Which are not exactly favored by some of the chefs or cook at home. No? They were selling at $3.50 a kilo, so prices haven't really gone down. No?
Yeah.
They say that it's now cheaper elsewhere, but I still find last week in Green Hills was selling for $500, I think, a kilo. So it hasn't really gone down everywhere. It might have gone down in a few areas, but not everywhere.
I'd like to ask, sir, how come, also my experience going around different groceries, you'd rarely see nice big white onions in the supermarkets. If meron makukuha, sir, minsan you see the small onions lang, but very rare ang onions. Sometimes you have to just buy onion powder na lang just to compensate for not looking for onions.
That's right. That's right. Everybody's got to find their way to soften the increase in prices of commodities like egg and onions. And kaya sabi ko nga, Diego, pinakamahal na putahe ngayon or what you can serve with the dish, pinakamahal ngayon ng omelette or omelette. No? Kasi yun na nga onions na eggs pa.
Oh, sir. And I'd like to get your outlook for the retail sector for this year. Do you see a good recovery, or will you think inflation dampen recovery prospects?
Well, economists around the world for the moment think that prices will continue to increase worldwide, not just here in the Philippines. Now, we've seen inflation in historic levels in developed countries, UK, Japan. The US is 2 quarters down in their GNP. So another quarter and they might start calling it a recession already. So let's hope it doesn't go that way for the Philippines. So, again, it's diskarte ng manufacturers na if they can find ways for substitute products or ingredients, no, to make sure that they can still sell at the prices that they do. No, one major manufacturer told us that they couldn't service us with their products because the ingredients which came in were not to their liking, no, which means the taste of the product will not be the same. Because of that, there's a lack of supply for that item. No, it's a particular brand of soda. So there are many factors. No, for us, we just buy the product off the shelf. For manufacturers, they're scratching their heads as well, no, as to how to. It's not making ends meet on their side, but it's how to provide us with quality products at prices we'd like to buy them. No?
Well, here's hoping for the best for this year. Thank you very much for joining us, Stephen Kuap, President of the Philippine Amalgamated Supermarkets Association. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us again at 9:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register an account now at signalplay.com.ph so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I am Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.